And welcome back to the Michael Cohen Show on our continued journey to 500,000 subscribers. We're now at 415,000, 5,000 subscribers in one day. Excellent. So help me. Let's keep growing. Hit subscribe, watch, comment, and share, because the stupidity, the insanity, the chaos all throughout DC, it's not stopping. Look, something I talk about all the time, Trump keeps talking about wanting a third term in office. He even has a merch store set up in the White House that he shows them to visiting world leaders. I mean, hats that say 4 more years and Trump 2028. How embarrassing. Think about it. On my Mea Culpa podcast, my guest, Andy Ostroy, and we discuss how serious Trump really is about this authoritarian power grab and what, if anything, could stop him from seizing power in 2028 and beyond. Play the clip.
I think we have an interesting phenomenon taking place right now with Gavin Newsom and his considered to be his epic trolling, although I think the backlash coming from Republicans is rather funny and ironic, given that they're so critical of what they consider to be conduct unbecoming for a governor, and at the same time, it's like, have you seen your president? What the shit he does on Twitter? And it's crazy to me, that they're losing their shit over it. But I think that means it's effective.
Look, to my listeners who maybe don't know what Andy's talking about, what Gavin Newsom is doing is he's putting out these posts in all caps, basically parroting some of the things that Trump writes in his Truth Social posts that are obviously incredibly snarky towards the president. And so, yeah, there are a slew of Republicans that are offended. They are beyond offended. Not offended.
They're incredulous.
Yeah. But not offended when one of the Republicans, I forget who it is, like Asley or something like that, where he turned around and he wrote, he's putting before the House, when they come back to session, they want to push a bill that would give Trump the ability to run for a third term. Now, this to me, you want to talk about incredulous, goes against the Constitution, which I don't understand. Initially, Trump said he doesn't want. After speaking to Putin, allegedly Putin said that you should run for another term. In fact, there's actually merchandise that you could buy right now at the Trump presidential store, Trump 2028. We've heard it many, many times now from his people, as if they are forecasting what he truly intends to do.
He said the quiet part out loud in the Oval Office when he was sitting with Zelensky. A reporter asked Zelensky if he would consider holding new elections, and Zelensky said, I would, but not during war. And Trump said, oh, so you don't have elections during a war. 3.5 years from now, we're going to have an election. So I guess no elections? Like, he literally is telegraphing not only what's in his mind, but given everything he's done so far in the last 7.5 months, we see exactly what he's doing to dismantle the democracy, how he's defying court orders, how he's sending troops into American cities, how he's calling up the National Guard, how he is executing executive orders that is complete and total autocratic overreach. This is only 7.5 months in. Yeah. So we have a lot to worry about because he's not fucking around. No. When he says it, it's not a joke. It's not a joke.
It's never a joke. And Donald's not a jokey kind of a guy. He's telling you what it is. He'll laugh about it because he knows that it's stirring people up. He does it for a reason, but it's also to let you know what's on his mind. But before I get back into this whole third term ambition, let me ask you this, though. When a sitting president bypasses Congress with executive orders, literally to change voting procedures or to alter federal enforcement, what does it say about the strength or the weaknesses of our system of checks and balances?
Well, we have to take with a grain of salt, as you know, what Trump says, because often there's two buckets with Trump: the bucket of reality and that which he can execute on, which is dangerous, and then there's just bluster, distraction, and things that are of lesser concern because he really doesn't have the authority to do certain things. So, for example, with banning mail-in voting, I mean, last time I checked, we don't live in a monarchy. We don't have a king. So, with the wave of a hand and the dashing of a pen, he can't get rid of mail-in voting on a state-by-state basis. Now, what he could do, which is maybe likely to happen on some level in red states because they're completely subservient to him, he might be effective there, but he can't just summarily issue a dictate that we're doing away with mail-in voting. There are states' rights, and each state has its own constitution, its own election commission, election commissioners, election boards, etc., and they make their own rules when it comes to the election. So I think that falls into the category of blah 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 blah.
Right. But didn't the same, for example, California, isn't it normally the governor who's supposed to empower the National Guard in the event of very specific issues that are taking place? Trump just walked all over that shit. He just put the National Guard there in Los Angeles in order to handle an ICE scenario. The problem that I've always found is that people don't take Trump at his own word. We've watched that mistake happen time and time again, and he just does it. He thinks about nothing as it relates to consequence. He just wants to accomplish what he wants to accomplish. So if he turns around and says that I don't like voting machines, well, okay. What if hypothetically the voting machines are all used and connected to a mainframe system that is controlled by the federal government, right? Maybe through, I don't know, an agency. And then he turns around, he tells the agency, cut the cord. He'll do something. And anybody that thinks that he doesn't have the intention of winning this argument, including mail-in ballots, he wants to go only to watermark paper, because with watermark paper you can't forge that shit, right?
What is watermarked paper?
So it's funny that you may ask that. Going back to the olden days, there was very expensive paper that you used to type on when you had like a Smith Coronomatic machine. And a watermark paper, very much like if you have a bill today, you hold it up to the light and you see the watermark. In the bills, it happens to be the face of the president. On the watermark, it happened to have been the name of the paper company. Right? That's a watermark. Why he's bringing up watermarks on ballots, I didn't know that ballots have watermarks, but suffice it to say, I get it. I get what he's trying to say, though he's mixing apples and pineapples.
Yeah,
I mean, they
but
both have the word apple in it.
problem. Here's the problem, and this happened to him last year. He doesn't understand, or he forgets that a good chunk of his base are older Americans, and they often mail in their votes. He was told this by his chief of staff, Susie Wiles, and others close to him, which is why we saw a reversal where he went from early in the campaign doing the same thing, mail-in voting is bad, blah, blah, blah. And then as the campaign approached, he completely flipped and was urging people to vote early, send in your mail-in. And I remember thinking, then going, what's happening here? Like he went from I hate mail-in voting to get out there and send in your votes by mail. However,
sure, let's not forget also, so with the military, many of them vote also, especially those that are out of their state. But, the funny thing is he keeps talking about how mail-in voting, somebody whispered into his ear clearly that Democrats do better with mail-in ballots than Republicans. And so one way to knock that down, right, the number of Democrats who would vote by mail-in, well, if they're not going to travel or they're not going to go to the ballot booth, well, okay, it's just a better opportunity for him or Republican members to be successful. I like how he turns around and says that the only way that Democrats can win is by cheating. What he's forgetting is over the past, say, 8 years, he's actually been successful now twice.
Yeah,
All right.
Democrats are the
So,
worst. They're the worst cheaters known to cheating.
right. I mean, it's funny. It's exactly the opposite. And boy, if this is their cheating, they should go back to being legitimate. That's the way I see it. But can I
Exactly.
jump back to that whole third term ambition?
Sure.
Because it's really a very scary prospect. Because again, we saw this Republican Congress member propose this legislation. I mean, I've never in my life thought I would see the day that a member of Congress would propose legislation that would allow a president to run for a third term. I mean, yes, we saw it with Truman because we were in a world war. He sees it very differently. Every day is a world war. How dangerous is it when the idea of shredding the Constitution gets openly entertained, literally, and I don't mean this figuratively, literally on the House floor?
Look, I say this to you all the time. You know him better than most people on this planet. I just think he likes to I think he just likes to rile up people. I really do. And this is like if there's like a top 10 list of things that I could just piss the shit out of independents, liberals, like this is number 1 on that list. Talk about a third term. It's also a distraction. You know, the, I don't know if we're going to get into the Epstein thing, but there are people who haven't forgotten about the Epstein scandal, and they're called MAGA. Okay. The media has been thrown off the 24-hour news cycle because there's so many other things that have come up, basically his distractions. But to the folks at home who are MAGA, they've never watched MSNBC or CNN to begin with. So what is or isn't covered on those networks, it doesn't matter to them. So they're still walking around going, where are the files? You promised us the files. You control the White House, the Senate, the House. You claim you're innocent. You promised to take down the deep state of Democrats. Why aren't you doing it? There is no reason for him not to be doing it. And the truth is, the nanosecond Pam Bondi pointed to her desk and said, I have the files and the list right here. That nanosecond, nothing before that matters. Whether Democrats did or didn't release the files when they were in control, nothing matters because they elected him to do the opposite of what he told them Democrats weren't doing, right? So he can talk about Rosie O'Donnell. He could talk about all kinds of shit. He could talk about running for a third term. It doesn't matter because the people who that inner circle is fearing are feeling betrayed. They're not feeling it any less. They're not going like, oh, Rosie O'Donnell. I guess I'm not that concerned with the Epstein files anymore. Like that's not happening. And I talk to those people all the time. So it's a distraction on the news cycle. It's frustrating. It makes liberals' heads explode. He can't do this third term bullshit, but he can't. It's not going to happen. Besides,
Do you think he's not going to run for a third term? Do you think that he's just going to step away? Or do you think that he's going to try to figure out a way how to run for a third term, claiming the way that the Constitution reads, it's somewhat ambiguous as to whether it's 2 consecutive terms or is it 2 terms in total? It's very, and then bring it to the Supreme Court.
The Constitution is clear. FDR had 4 terms. This law was enacted for a reason, so that doesn't happen again. So we have term limits for a reason.
I'm sorry. Did I say Truman before? I meant FDR.
Oh, maybe you did. I don't know.
I'm sorry. I probably did.
And so he could claim whatever he wants. But to me, there are 2 scenarios. One is likely and probable. Other scenario is possible, but less likely. The less likely one is, okay, he's already sent troops out on the streets of America. He's already sent the National Guard. We know his behavior is very autocratic. He's thumbing his nose at the courts. He's already declared several in his term, national emergencies, which we all know are bogus. The courts on the lower level have pushed him back a bit. The Supreme Court has flirted with the unitary executive theory. It has given him a lot of leeway in his quest to expand presidential power. It has given him damn near absolute immunity. That's a recipe for disaster. So an unlikely but possible scenario is that he does get us into some kind of war situation and says, hey, folks, we can't have an election during war. I'm suspending the midterms, or I'm suspending the presidential election, or canceling it.
Right. The only difference here, right? The only difference
Rudy
here is when
Rudy Giuliani did a grab for that after 9/11. So it is possible to go down that road. But I just wanted to say the other more likely scenario is that, as you and I both know, he's not a young man, right? He's not a healthy man. We know that now. And whatever health records have been publicized in the last several weeks, couple of months, we know that they are probably just the tip of the iceberg. So if Trump says, what I have is benign, there's a strong possibility it's way worse than that. He's tired and exhausted now. We know that his Republican brethren in Congress, they can't stand him. They're afraid of him, but they can't stand him. Independents have already bailed, right? That ship has left. He is cratering with independents. I just don't think either he has it in him and or the health or the support of the electorate.
Hey, everyone. First of all, thanks for watching. We're going to be posting daily episodes with reactions and talking about politics. We'll be talking about everything, in fact. So please like and subscribe. Join us on this journey.